Alright, so in this one, we are going to be doing a full-on, the best equipment guide you'll ever see. This is not bait, this is legitimately probably the best equipment guide you'll ever see. And there will be multiple layers, so I recommend getting like a pen and paper, or like deadass, like trying to like timestamp the stops, or the spots of the stops that we're going to have between each layer. This is going to be very broken down, this is going to be very complex. It's not going to be that in-depth because there's way too much depth to go into in each specific equipment, each specific value, each specific equipment, because there's so many equipment in the game. But this will be a very, very in-depth guide on equipment, and we're going to go in orders. 1, how to even re-roll equipment, because obviously this is going to be about how to get equipment up to higher rolls and what equipments you should be getting, prioritizing, and focusing as your main rolls, because there's better ones than worse ones, right? So erasers, how do you get them? Raid, go there. As you see, I have 999 erasers, right? It's not because I paid for them. It's not because I bought them. It's because I simply farm the raid. You simply just do the raid. Do the raid. Simple stuff, right? Simple stuff there. Platinum coins, use those. Adventures, exchange. The Festival Duel, exchange. There's a billion shops that give you erasers. There's the new Hoi Poi shop here with all this stuff that gives you erasers. I bought them already, but there's a bajillion million shops to give you erasers. So buy erasers, stock up, get over like 2,000. You literally can right now from the Hoi Poi and Raid. Also, you could probably like 3,000. Stock up. Got that shit ready? Alright, now let's get into it. This is going to be very much in depth. There will be a thing on screen the entire video that is showing you purity base equivalency. If you're wondering how those are tested, you quite literally just use those percentages that are shown on the screen, and then you compare them to equipments that have those. So let's say you have a 10% pure, you're going to test it out versus 23% base. You will see, most likely, if not like a roundabout 5-10k differential, because crits and stuff can't happen, but you will see a roundabout similarity from a Tin Men, because that's 10% pure, right? And then a 23% base equip, and you will see the same percentages of the number of damage dealt. So you could test these out. These numbers that are on screen, they are all testable, they're all workable. These are from people that are much smarter than me, that play the game a lot more than me. They know what they're talking about. And now we begin. Alright, so, this is going to be a lot. Just get your pens and papers out. Part 1, most valuable equipment, platinum equipment. Now, I'm not saying every plat. Again, there's many layers to this. LF plats, we should have got one this week. We didn't. Boo-hoo, woe is us. Nonetheless, the last one we got, Future Gohans. This is very valuable, as you can see by there being a lot of base stuff, and we can compare it again once to the side here. This is even more equivalent and higher than a 15% pure. So I'm already having an equipment that has higher than one of the best pures in the game, 15%. Obviously, there's niche ones that's like the Hybrid Pure or like the Frieza Force one that are a little bit higher percentages. Clearly, this equipment has a lot of value. So platinum equipment, whether it be Future Gohans, whether it be ones that are worse or better than, like Bardock is probably the best LF plat equip that does exist in the game. Maybe not for the first 2 entire slots, but for the 3rd slot, just gives way too much value. LF plat equips are numero uno priority. There's probably some you can farm right now. I'm sure there actually is. I saw, I think, Majin Vegetas, which isn't ideal, but at least it's something to do. You have Future Gohans. Again, this is probably like a top 3 LF plat equip here. You have Jirens, very good. You have Bardock, which I just said is the best LF plat equip in the game right now. Majin Vegetas, kind of mid. Honestly, one of the bottom tier ones because it's old. Kid Boo's, very good. LF Broly, it's okay, a little bit worse than Kid Boo's. You do have who? Cell. Cell is probably like the 2nd or 3rd best one. Full Power Frieza, very good plat equip. First Swarm Frieza, pretty good plat equip. Farm these LF plats. Forku, he just came back on a banner. He has 2 separate roles to roll for his plat equip. Farm these plat equips. They have the most value of the entire game. There is nothing that surpasses LF plat equips values for those individual units. Every single LF plat equip, you should have Z+, fully done. You have the erasers, you have the resources right now. If you main a team, prioritize that. If you're maining GT because you just got all these GT units, you re-rolled, you got 4 through 7 stars, happy days, go lucky stuff. Get both his slots, get them done. You can get thousands of erasers right now. This is the time to peak your equips and do everything proper and have your best setups that can be run. To show you a best setup team, just right now, honestly this, but to show you even a better one that people consider the #1 team in the game, I consider the other team I just show you the #1 team in the game. This is the best equipment setup in the entire game for this team. There is no debate, there is no argument. This is the best bench, the best equipment, the best every single thing you can go for. And now we go even further deep into the equipment selection. Again, plat equips. number one options. These other plats, are they good? Sure. Is this plat good? Sure. Obviously, there's some off-brand ones, like the new co-op one that's out right now. Not very good. You can kind of tell what's good or bad if it's very stipulated on conditions, like that new co-op one, which is what? Have 3 battle members for the full effect of it. So if you lose somebody, you lose a whole ass slot. That's not effective. That's not consistent. That's not anything. What you really strive for is consistency. So if you have that, you really have a good plat equip, right? Or just an equipment in general. If it's like, okay, only for this X amount of situation or this X, usually, unless the meta is very hard focused on that tag that it's going against, which there is a gold that's good for that, that equip's not very good, at least until that meta does arise, which we will touch on those equipments as we get to the gold. But a lot of plat equips here, whether it be the LF ones, obviously those are priority. Again, number one priority is LF plat equips. But there's other ones here, like this purple PO plat, very good for the new 17. It's actually ideal on the new 17, so you want to farm this up. Again, you kind of can just see the value of them. There's more Saiyans running around because you have the tag 4s, right? So running a defense against Saiyan would make sense. There's a lot of hybrids, so running something that's anti-hybrids would make more sense, right? You can see the value of equipments during the meta shifts, and then the value of equipments lesser or higher during these meta shifts as well. But plat equips, LF ones, very ideal to farm. I would say obviously the newer ones more than the older ones, because you look at Future Gohans, you look at Bardoks, you look at Cells, you look at, I don't know, Kid Boos, Jirens. These are all very good ones, probably all top 10 plat equips. Even G4 is still very good to this day. These are all very good plat equips for very good units, maybe not G4, but still. You still have very good plat equips. They're all very much worth farming. Every single LF plat in the entire game should be Z+ for you. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The units are good enough and get enough value from those plat equips to be at least a tier higher than they were pre that plat equip. There is no reason to not farm every single LF plat to Z+, straight up. Like right now especially, no reason at all. Maybe doing all of them right now could be a hassle because there's too many to farm if you have none. But at least Forku, at least Cell, I would say Bardock, like those 3, they're all back. Well, Cell, he kind of came back recently. But the other 2, Bardock and Forku, at least them 2, get them done. Theirs are amazing. Future Gohan, if you have him, he didn't return recently, but he was on the Beast banner. You know, you got these options, you got the opportunity, you got this right here, you got a lot of Zenny, because you could just infinite farm Zenny with all the Hoi Poi shit, and all the Zenny stages that are just unlimited double bars. Like, do this shit, right? You got the time to do it, you got the resources to do it, there's no excuse to not do it. Farm these plats up, LF plats, number one priority. Now, I wish I could prioritize these, by the way, and sort them by, like, Legends Limited, so I could show you just only Legends Limited ones, but you can't. You legitimately can't, which is stupid, but whatever. Golds. We will go to golds here. I'm just going to show Z's and Z pluses, because that's the only things I'm going to run. Honestly, I only run Z pluses personally, just because I'm a whale, so I usually have all these resources anyways. It's just right now, everyone has these resources, right? Golds. I'm not going to touch on every single gold, because that would take way too long, but I will touch on things that are more focused in an aspect. So I will touch on pures first for golds, because most golds are pures. There's not many plats that are pures, right? Obviously there's some, right? Like Forku, like I mentioned, but not many plats are pures. Just a lot of golds are. And again, there's going to be layers on layers. So get the notepad out. It's specific wordings. The game is very in-depth, and the game doesn't tell you how in-depth it is with how equipments work and how their wording is and how their wording affects their equipment, what it does. It is ridiculous, the amount of depth that these equipments have. Like, there's way too much value in equipments that's not talked about from anybody and from the game, which the game should be doing it more than the players, but, I mean, I digress. So, pure equips. I can't sort by pure equips because, again, the game doesn't like you, but I will sort and show you guys the best one. This is the best pure equip in the entire game. 1. Hybrids is the best team in the game. Shockingly enough, or at least a team with a lot of hybrids, whether you consider Tag 4s to be the best team in the game, or just a full-based hybrid team, regardless, you're going to have 2 hybrid Beast and Pan running around. So you have this equipment here, as we can see on the side that's still been up. This is a not 15% pure, this is a 24% pure. 888, that is 24. So you see that 38% base. Well, you could do a little bit of math and presume, I'm not going to do the exact math because I can't fucking figure it out right now at 4 a.m., but you could presume this is about a 55 to 60% base on this slot, and then this also individual slot. If you're comparing them to equivalent each other, that's about a 60% base because it's 24% pure. Do you think that's high value? Oh, It is. Again, this is the best pure in the entire game that is for a generic tag. That's why it's a gold. You don't have any prerequisite, just be a hybrid, and you run hybrid battle members. And hybrids, number 1, Beast. Top 3, Pan. Puddle, top 5. You have a lot of hybrids. Elf Trunks, I would say top 10. You have a lot of hybrids running around and being able to be run, so this equipment, I would say, is number 1 priority. I'm not going to point out every number 1 priority equipment, but I will point out the ones that really do matter. That right there, you have Pan, she's literally free. You probably own Beast. Run that equipment. Run that equipment. It's very high value. And then to go further in depth on equipments that are just the wording, man. The wording really gets you, because these are very obvious. You could tell, okay, it's going to be equivalent to the chart that's up there. Nothing to figure out in my head. I could see the numbers. I can compare the numbers. That's it. I got it. Cool. Great. But then there's some equipment that have the funny and you really can't tell, there's actually a difference. But there is a difference. Again, the game doesn't tell you these things, but there's a big difference in equipments. Again, we're touching on pures only. Pures gain their most value when you have a high base. So you see, this has base strike defense, right? So the higher of your base, obviously if you're going for a blast-based team, you want to have a high base of blast, you want a high base of strike for a strike-based team, etc., etc., etc. But with pures, their most effectiveness is when you have a 100% or 160% to 200% of your base. How you do that is you do the math. You do the Z ability math, you do the equipment math on the base equips, and then you see your value of pure. Again, the highest value your pure will have is a 200%. So if your unit, its leader slotted, is getting 220% on their base stuff with all the equipments that they have, then they're also getting a pure. That means that pure is doing its max output, its max setting, and you're getting optimized to shit. If you're going for 140% on Z abilities and you're missing some stuff and it's kind of just wonky everywhere on that one slot, then you are not optimizing them. So you have to optimize your equipment for these specific settings, for these specific teams you are building for that specific unit. Again, there is so many layers to equipment, it is ridiculous. And even this here, this equipment honestly is one of the niche examples. Kid Boo's Plat, fun fact, is actually equivalent to this, where the wording of this is so specific. This is actually just a raw 21%. Yeah, I know, right? My heater can't believe it either with it fucking having its stroke over there. This is a raw 21%. So what this means is no, you don't have to have your entire high base. You will anyways, because you're going to run blast-based regen if you're running regen, because it's a blast-based equip, no shit. But you do not need to rely on that base anymore. This is just raw 21. Like you read in unique abilities where it says like, okay, 90% damage inflicted on entry. This is simply run regen. Run 3 regen, 21%. That's what you get. You get 21% to your unit. Kid Boo's Plat is the same exact thing. It's 30%, just raw. You get that raw to your unit. The wording on equipment is very specific and very off. Like you can read here, 7% to blast damage inflicted per regen battle member. See, it's per regen battle member, blast damage inflicted. We go back up to this equipment here, right? The best pure in the game. This here, to strike attack per hybrid Saiyan battle member. Do you see how small the differential is when you're even reading these? You read that, right? To blast damage inflicted per regen battle member. And then we go back up here to blast attack per Saiyan, hybrid Saiyan battle member. You understand how there's like such a niche differential? And yet this equipment's entire value is just differentiated the entire time because how the wording is put in the specific settings of the sentence here, it really is just a convoluted situation, and they never explain this. Actually, Legends does the opposite of explain this. They say when you run pure equips, they'll show your ability bonus go downwards because they don't factor in that you have all the Z ability of the bonus up to 160, 200%, and you have all these baseline things done and the prerequisites essentially fulfilled. So they'll actually lower your ability bonus when you run pure equips. You'll actually think your team is worse if you look at ability bonus when you start running pure equips. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. Now there's some, again, with this chart, you can see 10% pures, 12.50% pures, 12% pures, that they are not as high value as these pures here, like 7%, 8%. But the game telling you that you're basically wrong is also a wrong thing to do. You could see up here, I have, let me try to find a 10% pure. I know I have some, because I haven't sold all mine yet, because they, again, have no value. Here's a 10% pure. You can look at it. I could quite easily scroll through right now and find an equipment that has equivalent baseline to this as a 23% strike. And that doesn't give me a prerequisite as well to make me run a yellow or red battle member. So let me scroll through a little bit here, and we can find an equipment as such value. Okay, here's an equipment. Look, 20% base strike, and then, okay, I'm missing out. The 10% pure is still better on the strike, but what I'm getting instead is special move damage and ult damage. Do you see how this has more value? Because, oh no, I'm missing 3% strike. Oh no. I'm also getting 12.50 and 12.50% ult and special move. You see how this game doesn't really, actually try to focus what matters? Because it can't do the multiplication, it can't do the math behind the scenes prior to you picking your team. It does it once you're in battle and everything, pans out the way it does. But the game doesn't actually prioritize all these numbers post. It prioritizes pre. So it would say this equipment is better, not because of it having a higher value just circuit compared to the other one. No, it's because that's a pure, and they're devaluing the pure because they can't do the math beforehand, because they can't calculate your full Z ability, the full equipment values. I mean, they probably can, but they don't. And it makes your team seem like it's worse. You see differential? So that's pures. Pures, again, you want to hit a threshold of 160% to 200% of your base, which the abilities obviously function into that because the abilities are base. Besides, we're let's read Dragon Fist. 3% to strike art stand inflicted. That means 3%. You're getting 3%, like a unique ability would give you 3%. Then the rest of the Z ability is base double attack, right? So these are things that wordings as equipment. Once you get those baselines to be high and mighty for yourself, then you start prioritizing the pures. If you have good enough pure equips for that unit, because some units just don't have good enough pure equips, and you run base equips over them, because again, you look at the chart on the side here and you can see it's more worth it for that unit. Even if you're getting a little bit less, I can give a great example here actually. Even if you're getting a little bit less than the pure, let's say I want to run a 15% pure, but I have a 35% base strike, like this right here. Okay, let's say, hypothetically, my situation is I have the tag 4s on Sun Family, and I'm considering the Sun Family pure, which is 15% peak pure, or I run this equipment. Which one do you pick? Me personally, and everyone else that should be listening to this and understanding this as we go through. Again, very convoluted, very dumb, how convoluted this situation is for equipment and just the builds of it and how complicated it is, but this would be better. Not because the strike is almost equivalent. Technically, it is equivalent at peak slot, but nonetheless, let's just say it's right here. You would run this equipment over that pure. Not because the strike is higher or equivalent. It's because you're getting more bang for your buck. This special move is a lot more value than the double defense than that Sun Family's first 2 slots are giving. So you'd run this over that. Even if they're equivalent numbers, you have to go even more in depth and see what is better than what else, which is your opportunity of selection of equipments. So it actually hurts my head trying to explain this because of how convoluted it is, but it's true. You have to actually go this in depth for equipment. Then I will touch on some base equips here. Again, I'm not touching on things you have to farm besides very good ones. Again, obviously the hybrid one being one of those. But I am touching on just the premise of it. So if you see equipment just like this, where you see a very high base, that's almost equivalent, if not actually is equivalent to 15% pures, which are usually the highest pures for most tags in the game. Clearly you know this equipment's a winner, and then you look at the conditions for it. Oh, it's very vast. This is a winner. You want to farm 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 of these, right? I will say Equipment Awakening is a bitch, so I will try to stray away from that when looking at these, but a lot of Awakened equips do satisfy that satiation where, do I run this pure? Do I run this base? Usually Awakened equips are going to be a base equip and just be more value than the pure. Like that right there with the example we just gave. That's better than the pure, even though the pure would also give the same exact percentage on strike. You're still getting that special move, which the pure would not be giving you, which the special move is very important because that go in the tag 4s, that go in any even has a blue card. Clearly that's important as well. If you're getting that full pure as well from the Sun Family one, it even has more value as well because of that. Ain't this fun? Ain't this fun? Nonetheless, though, let me look at some equipment here just off the top of my head. Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about this one. this equipment here. Now, I will admit 50 million times over, this equipment is a son of a bitch, and I don't recommend people try to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, but I also do recommend people get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. Not because it's easy to roll, but because its value is way too high. This is a equipment for Saiyans, so the prerequisite for it, very simple. Don't really have to, worry about much, but it is clearly a problem to roll. Strike attack, blast attack, strike defense, blast defense. Right now, the priority you're going to focus on is double attacks, right? So if I have this, roll strike attack. If I have this again, well, usually my strike-based unit wants to get more strike, right? Kind of common sense. Usually units aren't strike and blast-based. Maybe tag units are. That's an exception. But even now, the tag 4s, I'm just building them for strike. My Z ability is going to be all strike. Usually the Z abilities are going to flow well with more strikes just because my other units are more strike-based. It just goes in a better manner. I will say this equipment's very much worth farming. It is a bastard. I do not recommend OD farming it, but I also do recommend OD farming it because of how vast it is. The base that it's giving is, it's pretty close to 15% pures, and actuality state, this would be better than 15% pure. Now, if I do the math here, 13%, okay, 20%, that's 33%. Okay, so this is worse than a 15% pure, right? Wrong. Because I'm missing 5%. All I'm missing is 5% base. Okay, factor that in my head. Think about what's my next move. What's the last slot here? Oh, it could be ultimate damage, special damage, key recovery, critical, or health store. Let's say I want to run this on the tag 4s, right? What would I value more? I feel like this is very easy to follow at this point, but what would you value more? You should be valuing, if you rolled this, let me actually get the one that has the special move on it. Yeah, I have a lot of these. If you valued this at a full threshold, what are you saying more? This 5% base strike that I'm missing is more important, so I have to run this pure instead? Or this 12% special move is so much more valuable because the tag 4s are spawning a lot of blues. They want to do their blue cards. Their main damage is their blue cards. I run this over that pure. You see what I mean? Where just everything has like a counter to it, or like a stopping point where you have to really like, hold on, think about it. What's the unit? What's their main premise? What's their main focus? How in depth do we have to go into this? And then we decide. So with the tag 4s, I'm thinking about them. I'm running this. I'm running this equipment. This isn't the main option, but if I have options with this or a pure, I'm running this. Especially if that pure is below 15%. I'm running this every day of the week. Even when it is a 15% pure, and that's their highest pure right now, the tag 4s, I'm running this. Because that 5% base is not enough to dissuade me from running 12% special move. How much more value am I getting with that 12% special move? A lot more value, right? So I'm only missing 5% base. Because you look at the chart, once again, these have been tested numbers. Equipment's a bitch. I will say that for a fact. If I'm just going to show you guys equipment here to kind of like subside this and wrap this up, I understand this is very open-ended of a guide. It's not very much, showing you every single thing you should farm right now, and the ideal way to farm it. Like, bro, just get lucky, roll equipments. I can't really help you in that. It's unfortunate how it is, but that is how it is. I will show you here, for hybrids, this is the best equipment setup in the entire game, right? That's just how it is. If you want to change it, feel free. Some of them you might have to, some of them you won't, but how you value units' thresholds and what they can do, I feel like we could touch on just a little bit here, just a tad bit. And what I mean by touch on that is because you might look at some of these equipments and be like, so why is that unit built for this and this unit's built for this? Let's explain it. Pan, why is she built for HP? Well, Pan's support type, right? So my premise, and everyone's premise that's running this setup, because this is the best setup, is thinking, well, that's support type. I want her to live and then keep swapping in and out, because how she builds up her support is swapping in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So the idea for Pan would be to live. So you build her for support, not for damage. She's a support type, right? You build her to last longer, to give more support, so you have more sustainability and more support for your main 2 damage dealers, if not your main damage dealer of Beast Gohan. So how you build a unit relies on the premise of their kit. There's not just one, okay, build this unit for this because of this situation of every single match in PvP history and every single setting of their team. No. Per differential of team, per what your main focus of that unit or team is and who's going to be your focus, heater, please stop, you build the unit per that situation. So let's say I'm going to run this Pan on a different team and she's meant to be a secondary damage dealer. Why give her damage equips. I give her this Awakened Peer. I have 3 of them, right? I give her that Awakened Peer. But if I'm building her for a capability of, this is a 1v3 team, I know it's a 1v3 team, I'm going to support for my Beast Gohan, give these other units sustainability, fine, that's clear. Why Puddle is built for a little bit more offensive manner, Future Gohan here if you don't know, is because how he will work is he will also get his own support when he's tapped, just like Pan would, but the difference is Future Gohan has better offensive capabilities than Pan because it lasts longer, he has a better green card that gives more offensive capabilities, and he has a little bit more leeway to get more damage going than Pan does. So I'm not building him full offense, I'm not focus firing him with like every baseline, every, you know, triple pure type shit. No, I'm building him for a little bit more offense than Pan, for sure, but the same premise applies. I'm building him to live and do a little bit of damage. More on Puddle than Pan, but still there. And still the baseline situation of the team build follows, where my main damage dealer is the one built for offense. You look at Beast Gohan here, he has double pures. How this works, again, you go to that 160 to 200% threshold of your bases, and once you hit those, you can run double pures to their full effectiveness, if not single pures, whatever your situation is for the unit you're prioritizing in that setting. And if those pures are above the threshold of the numbers we see here, then you run that. If I'm building Beast Gohan for the setting of damage, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to peer him the shit out. I'm going to run double supports. I'm going to make those supports have more sustainability builds than actual offense builds, because what I want is more support for my Beast. If I keep swapping in, out, and I get more support and get more tabs done against me, more combos done against my other units, my Beast's going to go crazy because I haven't built for full offense. The other two will live longer because I haven't built for more defensive aspect. You see how that works? And then this third equip here, just to touch on it real quickly. Why this over some others? One, look at the base strike. Look. You see how high that is? What is that? 12? And then you have even more on the bottom there. Yeah. You see how that's like 35%? 36%? Probably even higher. Probably is like, what, 38? Ah, sorry. Sorry, it's 0.50 off. Yeah. That's equivalent to 15% pure. And then why special move there? Why is it so important? Beast Gohan is getting blues. He's getting a blue from Pan. He's going to have double card speed. He's going to get a lot of blues. It's just going to work out that way. You see how you have to build units in a very niche aspect per the situation you're going for? Now, there's units that you just build the same every single way if they're really not much changing in their kits, and there's not much you can really evolve or like divolve into, rather, with their kits. But for a majority section of units, you have to be very specific on the build. You have to be very focus-fired on what the build is for that specific unit, whether it's going to be everyone trying to carry the team or just a 1v3 carry like this team is here. You have to you really have to mold around with it and fiddle around with it. I would just recommend, honestly, checking the top ranked equipment on their units. I mean, I can check right here probably. It's a little bit wonky now because season reset, but like, I'm sure there's someone in the top ranks that probably has the hybrid build here, and we could check and see if there's any differentials, right? Just kind of to wrap this up here, because, yeah, I can't go full in depth. There's no, like, plausibility. It would take, like, you see how long this took? And I'm going the most baseline things I could even touch on here, right? Can I find anybody with hybrids? Do you have hybrids? No? Okay. Season reset, it's tough to find. No, the one time it's tough to find the team. The best team in the game. No. Well, argue best team in the game, whatever you call it. I want to find them, please. Somebody, do you have it? I hope this guy has the right equipment. Okay, that's not... God damn it. I can't find it. No, bro. Let me find it. Somebody. Just to compare. Because obviously I'm showing you mine and I'm, you know, claiming these things. I want to, like, show you guys why I'm claiming them, because I know it's true. But if there's no proof behind it, then, you know, why would you believe me, right? So I'm trying to make it so you guys could see. Hopefully this person has similar stuff. Okay, so their bench is a little bit off. Also, their stars are really off, so their equipment might change, because your lower stars, you're not having the highest base because you're having less Z ability, right? So their equipment might change a little bit here, but the premise should stay the same, and hopefully we check it out here. Okay, so it's the same premise, right? The Arrived Hero is double strike HP. The Kale equip, I don't know why the Kale equip on a strike-based team. Double blast HP, and then Rev Gohan equipped there is going to be special move damage, strike attack. So he's getting a little bit more offense on Pan than Defense, he's building her more rounded, which Pan does not want to do because you have Blast and you have, like, you actually have no Blast ability on this team, so giving her Blast equip is just dumb. But, I mean, the premise is there of HP, right? Here as well, you can see the Frenzy Power. Again, this is a little bit weird because you're building a more defensive aspect, especially because that's the Unawakened one. And that's like Strike Attack, Strike Defense, then Blast Defense. It's very weird to put, actually. I don't recommend that at all. But the premise is there, at least for the other two equipments, where you're really amping your Beast Gohan and caring for his output more than anybody else. And then here, this is very strange to not have the Awakened Hybrid Pure, actually. Yeah, Puddle wants that a lot. The second equip is the same thing as the third one, just a little bit worse. It's special move damage, ult damage, and double defense. You could give Puddle a little bit more offense because he can obviously ramp up offenses pretty well with the green cards he'll spawn with just support going capabilities. But the premise is there of that, where the same idea that I'm kind of alluding to and talking about is being discussed, is being shown off there as well. So I hope this helped a little bit. I can't really help more, I would say. Like, yes, I could, and I could say, okay, just farm this, farm this, farm this, but that's not teaching you how to value equipment. I feel like this is teaching you a little bit more, not fully, because it honestly takes a good minute, and I don't even fully know, but I know enough, I feel like, to make this video. I feel like this helps a little bit more, so where you could value equipment, so you could break this down, you could stop the video, you could time out, and like, okay, let me think about this. What's more valuable for my unit in this specific setting, this specific team, this specific Z abilities, these specific settings that I want to do for this unit, and what's my goal with this team? This team's the goal of 1v3ing, me building my Pan, my Puddle for a more defensive aspect to give more support, makes sense. Building my Beast for offense is making more sense. If I'm building Tag 4s and Beast Gohan, I'm building both those for big offense, and I'm building Pan to defend and have more support going around the team because she's the only support there. So I'm really hoping that she gets her support off. Building her for no offense, I want her to live and support and sustain, and that's what I want to do. You have to be able to figure out these situations for yourself here. You have to figure out the highest Z abilities that you can work with on your teams as well. Obviously, reading their Z abilities as well will do that, but let me know if this helped you guys. Honestly, I hope it did, but if it didn't, let me know. I can redo this in the future. I think when things become more convoluted. I think they're already convoluted as shit, but I hope this baseline helps you and helps you understand at least something, how to build teams and how to build equipment and how to really optimize a setting, because right now is the time to do it. There's basically unlimited erasers because you're not going to use them all. Basically unlimited Zenny, basically unlimited everything, and that's all you need. Unlimited Zenny, erasers, souls, you can get all three a lot like right now, and this is the time to do it. So farm up, hope this helps. I'll see you guys in the next one.